Hi everyone, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. It is that time of year again, my favorite time of year on BookTube for the mid-year book freakout tag. I love this tag. I don't know what it is about it, but I just absolutely love it. It's brought me out of YouTube retirement a couple of times, and there's just something so wonderful and heartwarming about it. That half-year check-in, seeing how you're doing with your goals. It inspires me a lot to keep going when I'm falling behind, and it always just puts a little bit of a pep in my step. So I really do enjoy this one. I will make sure to link the original video by the creator in the description down below for you. So without further ado, let's just get on to the first question. The first question is, what is the best book that you have read this year? And this one is actually a very recent read for me. It is Voices in the Snow by Darcy Coates. You guys have heard me talk about it a lot recently. I've just really enjoyed it. Voices in the Snow, we follow Claire, who is traveling to her aunt's house in the middle of a major snowstorm, and she ends up in a wreck, wakes up in this mansion with this dude that tells her she had an accident. He saved her life, but they cannot get to the hospital because the roads are shut down. She starts seeing all of this weird and crazy stuff in his house. She's keeps doubting whether or not she can actually trust the guy. And it's just a very fast-paced, very immersive read. I love it 100%, and I can't wait to get to the sequels. The next question is, what is the best sequel that you have read this year? And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I haven't read a crap ton of sequels, but one that I did read that I really enjoyed was A Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. This is the third book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. I loved the first book. The second book, Hollow City, I had mixed feelings on. That one was kind of a mixed bag for me, but I think it was because I waited so long to read that one after reading Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. But Library of Souls, there wasn't as big of a gap on, and I really found myself enjoying that reading experience a whole lot. I loved the antics of the children. I loved how immersive that world was. I loved how beautiful the setting was, and the writing style was just chef's kiss. I loved that book, and I'm pretty sure that there are other books in that series, but I believe it was originally planned out as a trilogy, so I'm not sure yet if I'm going to read the additional titles, if they weren't originally planned. I'm back and forth on that. If you guys have read those and have opinions one way or the other, please let me know down in the comments below whether or not I should continue on with the series. The next question is, what is a new release that you haven't read yet but you want to? This one I have kind of an interesting answer for, because most of my anticipated reads were actually for this month or later in the year, so I haven't really come upon them yet. With the exception of The Lost Legacy by Kat Bethel. That is the first book in the Yilmaz Chronicles. And I don't know necessarily if I am cheating with this answer, because I had the pleasure of getting to CP on this project while it was in development. So I have read it before, but I haven't read the finished product. And I'm very excited to read it in its finished form. It has already been published. It was published on May 19th, I believe it was. And it was a beautiful project while it was in development. I'm sure the final project is even better, and I can't wait to read that and review it to support Kat. The Lost Legacy, it follows a woman named Change Yilmaz, who has a future sight. It is a spicy fantasy, and she has kind of been sanctioned to be a legacy for this secret court, like of nymphs and magical beings. And she didn't previously know that she was a part of this group. She doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And it has all these crazy fun hijinks afoot when she's just like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. And then you add in like the side stories of, it's like the romance and the spice. And it's a perfect blend. It's very creative and I enjoy it immensely. The next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And this one, I think, is probably always the hardest question for me to answer because it's hard to pick just one. You know what I mean? It's hard. Most of my anticipated books were for the second half of the year. And it's like we have a new Ruth Ware book coming out, and that's coming out probably from the time that I'm filming this. That's coming out in maybe 2 weeks, so it's coming up pretty quick. And we got a new Lisa Jewell. I love me some Lisa Jewell. We have a sequel to The Night Swim by Megan Golden, which I am very intrigued by because I really, really enjoyed The Night Swim when I read it last year. So there are so many to this one, and it's hard to nail it down to just one, but just know, we've got a lot of new release reading vlogs coming for the second half of the year. The next question is, what was your biggest disappointment for the year? And I don't even have to think about that. It's not even relatively close. In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I had so many high hopes for this book. It was everywhere. It was all over BookTube, Bookstagram, Book Talk. It was everywhere. And the way that people talked about this book, I just thought that I was going to be absolutely in love, and that's not really what happened. I didn't care for the twists. The characters in this, especially the main character, were absolutely abysmal. Could not root for anybody. And I'm not necessarily against having unlikable characters in a book, but I feel like you have to have somebody in there that's redeemable, somebody that you can root for. When I don't like any of the characters, I don't really care what happens. And to me, that defeats the entire purpose of reading a book. So this one was a huge, huge letdown for me. The next question is, what is the biggest surprise of the year so far? And I recently did a book review on this one, but it's Wicked River by Jenny Milchman. I've never read Jenny Milchman before in my entire life. I wasn't crazy about the premise for this. In fact, I was somewhat expecting to unhaul this. This was part of my unhaul challenge that I set for myself. And that's actually coming up pretty soon in August. And Wicked River was on that list because it had been sitting on my shelves for maybe 2 or 3 years. And it's like when I bought it, the premise stuck out to me, but I fell out of that type of a mood. And then after that, it just wasn't clicking anymore. This follows a couple on their honeymoon who go on this trek through the Adirondack Mountains and end up getting lost. There is also a crazed man in the wilderness who's been by himself, and he latches onto them for companionship, and he doesn't want to let them leave. It's very tense. It's very creepy. And it's just, grips you from minute one till the last page. It's a very, very thrilling ride. And I just didn't expect something about 2 people lost in the wilderness for 400 pages to keep my attention, but that's exactly what it did. Okay, the next question is, who is your favorite new author. This can be a debut author or it can be somebody that's new to you. I am choosing new to me, and that would probably be Casey McQuiston. I read One Last Stop earlier this year because everybody was talking about it, and I honestly I didn't necessarily expect to dislike it, but I didn't expect to love it because I have a tendency to overhype books in my own head when I see it absolutely everywhere. And One Lost Stop was absolutely everywhere. So because it had all this praise and all this stuff in my head, I kind of just automatically thought it's probably going to be okay, but not great. Because that's typically my experience. But this one lived up to the hype. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a romance, but it had a little bit of a fantasy swing to it too. We follow this woman who has moved to New York City. She starts taking the train every day to work, and she meets this woman on the train and develops a relationship with her. Eventually, she begins to realize that it doesn't matter what time of the day she takes the train. It can be in the middle of the night. It can be in the smack dab in the middle of the afternoon. Honey, it does not matter. Her buddy is always there. And she starts putting two to two together and realizes that this woman is trapped on the train, and she's having to choose between her affection for the woman and being able to see her basically whenever she wants, or freeing her spirit so that she can move on. It's a very, very sweet, very original story. I enjoyed it very much. I really liked Casey McQuiston's writing style, and I cannot wait to read more from her. The next question is new favorite crush. I don't get crushes in books. I really don't. I don't have an answer to this question. I feel like once you reach a certain age, that's kind of hard to do, at least in my opinion. Like, I can appreciate characters as they are, but I don't get like, oh my God, I want that to be my book boyfriend. Like, I haven't been like that in like forever, I don't think. It's just not something I really identify with. But like I said, there are plenty of characters that I enjoy, but I would not call any of them crushes. The next question is new favorite character. And for this one, I would probably have to go with a book that I recently just read, so it is very fresh on my mind. And this character would be Christian from Just the Nicest Couple by Mary Kubica. Christian was a very interesting character to me. He was extremely complex, and I couldn't help but feel for him for the situation that he was in that book. But he seems like a real one, you know, like he is going to protect his wife at all costs, but he's also very compassionate. He seems like a good person. He's sweet. He's just like caught in the crossfire and has to make some pretty tough decisions. I don't agree with everything that he did. Like, in fact, I don't agree with the majority of what he did. But I understood his reasonings for it, and I felt for the guy really, really hard. I'm like, it's not fair to put him in this position. So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed that, and I thought he was a great character. I'm wondering if Mary Kubica is good with her characters like that. This is my first book from her. But if you guys don't know, I am a very character complex girly. I love me some good characters. I have to connect with my characters or I can't enjoy a book. It doesn't matter how good the plot is. It doesn't matter how good the writing style is. I need compelling characters. And Christian was definitely that for me. The next question is book that made you cry. This one would be It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, which It Ends With Us was also a book that made me cry. And this is interesting in the fact that I don't normally cry during books. Even when I'm feeling for the characters, I'm not typically crying boo-hooing with actual physical tears. But Colleen Hoover has a way of getting that reaction from me. And It Starts With Us definitely did that, but it did that for different reasons than It Ends With Us, which is kind of a little loop. I just felt so happy to see our main character, Lily, getting out of the situation that she had herself in It Ends With Us and becoming successful and overcoming those challenges. And so it was more like it was happy tears, but they were tears nonetheless. I'm so proud of her. This is what ladies in her situation need to strive for. It is 100% possible. You just have to believe in yourself. And I loved the message that came across with that. The next question is a book that made you happy. And this one is tough because I kind of felt that way about most of what I've read so far this year, which is awesome. I mean, it's great when you enjoy more than you dislike when you're reading. So absolutely love that for me. The answer to this question, though, if I had to really, really hard press for it, would honestly probably be one that sounds a little weird. But I would have to go with Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, simply because the book surprised me in the sense that Riley Sager, my experience with Riley Sager has just been all over the place. And this one was more of a positive experience for me. I could probably say it's my favorite book by Riley Sager. Might be coming neck and neck with Final Girls, but I want to say this one's my favorite. And it was such a great story. I loved the intense mystery of it. It's like it covers some pretty deep and pretty heavy topics, and that's why I think I'm kind of weird for choosing this one. But it's not so much that it was the content that made me happy. It was more my experience that made me happy. And I was just like, this is what I want. This is what I know that Riley Sager is capable of now. And this is the standard that I am going to hold him to from now on. The next question is, what is the most beautiful book that you have either received or bought this year? And I already touched on this one a little bit earlier, but I'm going to go with The Lost Legacy by Kat Bethel again. I mean, just look at that cover. Do I need to say anything else? That is just, it's gorgeous. And Kat has shown me the covers for the next 2 books in the series. I will not be showing those because she has not revealed the covers publicly yet. And out of respect to her, I am not going to show them, but they are equally as stunning. I absolutely love the art in her books. It's just so, so beautiful. I wish I had a physical copy to show you guys, but my copy is an ebook copy. But I actually enjoy the cover for this so much that I will be buying a physical copy. So I'm going to have 2, which I rarely don't do. I rarely do that, but it's so gorgeous and it's glossy, and I want that book physically sitting on my shelves to brighten them up, make them pretty, and I'm going to be doing the same with the other books in the series as well, because I think as a unit, it is just going to be absolutely gorgeous and a great set piece. The next question is, what are some books you want to read by the end of the year? This one is always a hard question too, because preferably my entire TBR. And I think that's always my answer. I just want to read everything that I own. And it's not physically possible, especially now because I'm reading less, because I am getting ready for publication. So I am constantly writing. So it's like, I know that my entire TBR is not a realistic goal, but that's just what I want to do. It's what I want to do. So it's like, that's always going to be my answer. So some that I would prioritize would be the new Ruth Ware, the new Lisa Jewell. I've got a couple of Megan Mirandas on my shelf that I haven't got to yet. I really, really want to get to those. And then I have, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 more books to read before August for the Unhaul Challenge. And if I have not got to those, I'm going to be unhauling them regardless. And I'm obviously going to be unhauling the ones that I don't enjoy. So I would say in there's probably about a total of 12 or 13 that like I'm going to prioritize, which that I can definitely do. But my entire TBR, as much as I want to do it, is just not very realistic. All right, so that is all that I have for you guys today. If you liked this video, please make sure to subscribe, like, comment, follow me on the social medias, click that bell if you want to be notified of all of my upcoming videos. And if you do this tag, make sure to tell me about it in the comments so that I can go and check out your video as well. I love watching this tag as much as I love filming it. So just let me know if you do it as well, and I hope you do. But that's it for today. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.